Good morning, everyone. My name is Alfred Kosgey, and today I'm going to provide an update on all of the work that we have been doing to date on physician-focused Hadoop migration from Netezza. So over the last several months, the team has worked very hard on building the big data infrastructure and also migrating some of the calculations from Netezza to Hadoop. So we have made really good progress, and we have a lot to share with you. And before we go there, what I would like to do is go over the reasons of why are we doing this work. So one of the major drivers for doing this work is really data sharing across multiple products. And what do I mean by that? So as you all know, today in the Netezza architecture, the different products have their own Netezza databases. So sharing data across these different servers is very difficult. This is different in the Hadoop world in that all the products will reside on the same HDFS file system. So sharing the data will be much easier because all the different products will be reading the same data. Another thing is scalability. As you all know, Netezza appliances are not really cheap. Each of the boxes that we have today in production cost anywhere from $1 million and up. In the Hadoop world, this is different in that you can buy cheap commodity servers and it doesn't have to be anything special. So scaling the Hadoop architecture is much easier in that you're really scaling horizontally versus scaling vertically as you will in the Netezza architecture. And what do I mean by that? So scaling vertically really means once you outgrow your Netezza appliance, the only option you have is to retire the smaller box and buy a bigger box, which ends up costing you a lot of money. On the Hadoop side, however, is a little bit different. So let's say you started with 20 servers. If you find out that you need to scale out because you're processing more data, instead of retiring these 20 servers, you can just add extra servers in your cluster to be able to get more processing power. So from a scalability and cost perspective, you can clearly see how this new architecture is a little bit cheaper than the current architecture. Actually, I will go as far as saying not a little bit, it's significantly cheaper than the current architecture. So before we look at our Hadoop architecture, I would like to just give everyone a picture of what our current architecture looks like. And for the purpose of this discussion, I'm going to focus mainly on the data processing aspect of the architecture, and that is the Netezza side of the house. So today we have some ETL processes that's triggered by AutoSys, and what those ETL processes do, they drop files, patient level, dimensional and fact files into Netezza. Once that data comes in, it goes into an intake database. After we intake the data, we need to transform the data. So we dump that data into the transform database where we apply some validation and data type conversion, etc. Once we have cleaned up the data is now available in the repository database where the ETL process can run against the data and produce report output, which will go into the reporting database. So changing that from the Netezza architecture to the Hadoop architecture, you will notice that the whole Netezza box is gone. And what we have instead is Hadoop distributed file system. So the files will still come into HDFS, right? And in our case, we chose Impala to do this work. So we will run an Impala intake, which will take these files and denormalize them and make them ready for calculation. Once the files are ready and we have intake them and create Impala tables for them, we will run our Impala ETL, and the output of those will go into HDFS and be exported into the reporting database. Thank you.